Assistant Professor, Postgraduate Department of English, Don Bosco College, Kottayam. Hope all of you heard my previous sessions. Today I am coming with a new topic and one important topic in English literature, especially in literary criticism, Aristotle's Poetics. Before entering into the work, let us discuss something about Aristotle. What do you know about Aristotle? Yes, we all know that he was a Greek philosopher. His life period was from 384 to 322 BC. That means he was born in ancient Greece in 384 BC, very nearly 2400 years ago. And he was born in the city of Stagira in the Greek state of Macedonia. Then he made significant and lasting contributions to nearly every aspect of human knowledge. That is from logic to biology to ethics to metaphysics to aesthetics to politics. That is, he made significant contributions to all aspects of life, all aspects of human knowledge. And we all know that he was a disciple of Plato. So taught by Plato, he was the founder of Lyceum. It is all time this term is associated with the name Aristotle. Lyceum, it is the peripatetic school of philosophy, and Aristotle was the founder of Lyceum. Then he provided a complex synthesis of the various philosophies existing prior to him. That is, he made various philosophies and he made several analyses regarding the existing philosophies during his lifetime. And he was one of the greatest intellectual figures of Western history, because even after the intellectual revolutions of the Renaissance, the Reformation and the Enlightenment, Aristotelian concepts remain embedded in Western thinking. Even in this postmodern period, that is even in the 21st century, we are studying Aristotelian concepts. Then he was the author of the philosophical and scientific system that became the framework and vehicle for both Christian scholasticism and Islamic philosophy. It is author of several philosophies and author of many scientific systems. Later, that became the framework and vehicle for Christian scholasticism and medieval Islamic philosophy. For Muslims, this Aristotle was considered as their first teacher, and for Christians, Aristotle was considered as their philosopher. Then Aristotle's writings fall into two groups: those that were published by him but are now almost entirely lost, and the second category, that is those that were not intended for publication but were collected and preserved by others. So the first group consists mainly of popular works, that is, that were almost lost. And the second group comprises treatises that Aristotle used in his teaching. And some of his most notable works include ethics, politics, metaphysics, poetics, Nicomachean, etc. Hope all of you understand about Aristotle. Let us discuss the topic in detail. That is Aristotle's Poetics. What do you know about Aristotle's Poetics? Aristotle's Poetics is the earliest surviving work of dramatic theory and first extant philosophical treatise on literary criticism. That is its significance. First surviving work of dramatic theory as well as philosophical treatise on literary theory. and it is specifically concerned with the drama. And we all know that Poetics contains 26 chapters. Each chapter contains, that is, poetry regarding poetry, imitation, different kinds of poetry, different genres, that is like a tragedy, comedy, epic poetry, then structure of a good poem, then division of a poem into its component parts, etc. So let us discuss in detail each and important points in Poetics. That is, and this Poetics contains 5 major discussions. 5 major discussions in Poetics. Let us see which are the 5 major discussions in Poetics. First discussion is preliminary discourse on tragedy, epic poetry, and comedy as the chief forms of imitative poetry. That is the first discussion in Poetics. That is preliminary discourse on tragedy, epic poetry, and comedy as the chief forms of imitative poetry. Second discussion is definition of a tragedy. That is the important chapter and important discussion in Poetics. That is definition of a tragedy and the rules for its construction, definition and analysis of into qualitative parts. So this is the second discussion in Poetics. And the third discussion is rules for the construction of a tragedy. That is tragic pleasure, catharsis, hamartia, denouement, discovery, elements of tragedy, diction, etc. Then the fourth one is possible criticisms of an epic or tragedy and the answers to them. Then last one is tragedy as artistically superior to epic poetry. That is, Aristotle concludes his work by saying that tragedy is superior to epic poetry, and he gave definite explanations regarding this superiority of tragedy, why tragedy is superior to epic poetry. He made definite explanations regarding this point, superiority of tragedy. So all these are the 5 major discussions included in Poetics. And it is believed that this Aristotle's Poetics is considered as a response or reply to Plato's attack on art. It can be read as a response to Plato's theories, especially regarding his theory of imitation, mimesis, etc. Let us discuss in detail. So Aristotle's Poetics is considered as a response or reply to Plato's attack on art. Then what is this Plato's notion or theories regarding art, imitation, etc.? In Plato's Republic, that is particularly in book 10 of Republic, he said that art is twice removed from reality. It is just an imitation of an imitation. For example, a painting of a chair. It is an imitation of a chair, which in turn an imitation of the form of a chair, that is twice removed from reality. Then art imitates the objects and events of ordinary life. Art is a copy of a form. That is Plato's theory. He believes in the existence of ideal world. That means which exists a real form of every objects found in nature. That is Plato's notion regarding imitation, and he termed it as mimesis. And in Poetics, Aristotle begins his work by saying that he defines poetry as a medium of imitation. Aristotle defines poetry as a medium of imitation. It seeks to represent or duplicate or capture life. And poetry can imitate life through different ways. Through characters, action, then objects, that is action, emotion, everyday objects, etc. So poetry can imitate life, and this can be through, that is that imitation, yes, can imitate life in a number of ways. That is, these are the things or elements. That is through character, through action, or through emotion, or even through everyday objects. Then the term poetry includes different kinds of poetry, that is epic poetry, tragedy, comedy, dithyrambic poetry, dramatic poetry, music, etc. But he remarks that all of these kinds of poetry are mimetic or imitative. But there are significant differences between these different kinds of poetry. And he notes three differences. Which are the three differences he noted between these different kinds of poetry? First one is medium of imitation. Second one is object of imitation. And the third one is mode of imitation. Medium of imitation means poetry imitates life through rhythm, harmony, and language. For example, just as a sculptor employs stone for a representation or expression, or a painter employs paint for representation or expression. Just like that, here poetry uses harmony, language, or rhythm as a medium of imitation. Then second point is object of imitation. So in the second point, Aristotle discusses that art seeks to imitate men in action. Hence we get the term drama. In order to represent men, art must either present men as better than they are, or present men as worse than they are. That means present their action, that is better than men as better than they are in life, that is men of high morals, as true to life, and sometimes as worse than they are, that is men of lower morals, etc. That is representation of characters. That representation of characters, that is according to the taste of the writers or authors. Each author has his own tendencies, his own interest. For example, Homer makes men better than they are. For example, Iliad, Odyssey, etc. In the case of Cleophon, he depicted his characters as they are, not better than they are or not worse than they are, as represented as or depicted as they are. Then Nicochorus, another character, he depicted his characters as worse than they are. That means depicted as comic characters or in a satiric form. That depends on the interest or taste of each writers or authors. Anyway, tragedy or comedy or any type of representation, the basic thing is it seeks to imitate life. It seeks to represent something. And here Aristotle makes some general distinctions between different forms of drama. That is, men as better than they are or men as worse than they are. That is, hence we get two terms, that is tragedy and comedy. Comedy represents men as worse than they are and tragedy depicts men as better than they are. That is, men of high morals or true to life, etc. In the case of comedy, as men of low morals. This is object of imitation that Aristotle discussed in Poetics. The third point is mode of imitation. Here, a poet can imitate through narration, in which he takes another personality, or speak in his own, that is first person narration, or presents all his characters as living and moving before us, that is third person narration, etc. So these three are the general differences, that is medium of imitation, object of imitation, mode of imitation. So Aristotle noted these three differences in the beginning of the Poetics regarding different kinds of poetry. Then he continued his critical concepts, that is continuing on from imitation to the evolution of poetry or the emergence of poetry. According to Aristotle, poetry emerged for two reasons. One is man's instinct to imitate things. Second one is the instinct for harmony and rhythm. So Aristotle believed that it is because of these two reasons that poetry emerged. And once poetry emerged, it evolved into two directions. That is, one group of poems imitate noble actions or the actions of good men. A second group of poets imitated the actions of meaner person, that is in the form of satire or in the form of satire. Thus we get two terms, that is one is tragedy and the other one is comedy. That is, once poetry emerged, that is according to Aristotle, once poetry emerged, it evolved into two directions. One group of poems imitated noble actions, that is the actions of good men. Then a second group of poets imitated the actions of meaner person, that is in the form of satire. Thus we get the two terms, that is tragedy and comedy. So Aristotle uses imitation to differentiate between these two genres, that is tragedy and comedy. In the tragedy, poets reveal men as better than they are, or depict man of high morality. Hence we get the term tragic hero. It is in this representation of man as better or of high morality that we ultimately find catharsis, the release of emotions, that is pity and fear at the end of the tragedy. Catharsis, main term that we will discuss in detail in the latest sessions. Yes. That is, it is in this representation of man as better or of high morality that we find ultimately what? That is purification, that is catharsis, purification of mind, that release of emotions, that release of pity and fear in the mind of the spectator's audience at the end of a tragedy. Next point is comedy. In comedy, a poet presents man as worse than they are, and he is depicted by some defect or ugliness which ultimately take the reader into a satiric view. And comedy works in a similar way to tragedy. Then what is the difference between comedy and tragedy? But with opposite effect. In a tragedy, we grieve over the fate of the tragic hero or the main protagonist who must suffer for his flaw. Flaw here means hamartia, that is a tragic flaw. For example, Hamlet, in the case of Hamlet, procrastination is a tragic flaw. In the case of Macbeth, vaulting ambition is the tragic flaw. So we spectators or we audience, we grieve over the fate of the protagonist or the man who must suffer for his flaw, and touched by the possibility that we too might possess this flaw or this tragic flaw. But in a comedy, we laugh at the tragic flaw of the character and comforted by the fact that it is not ours. Moreover, these two genres, that is both tragedy and comedy, have a moralizing effect on the audience. Let us continuing the topic. Next is epic poetry. Aristotle's definition of epic poetry. Epic poetry is like tragedy. But what is the difference? Epic poetry is like tragedy in that it reveals a man as better than he is, but it is in narrative form. That is depending on an omniscient first person narrator, a third person, or a first person narrating hero. But in the case of tragedy, a tragedy involves the dialogues of two or more characters. Then next difference is that is tragedy and epic poetry differ in length. Tragedy is confined usually to a single day. Here, that is Aristotle described his unities, that is unity of time. A play must be completed within 24 hours. So a tragedy is confined usually to a single day in the efforts to reveal a quick devolution of hero, etc. But in the case of epic poetry, that epic poetry continues for a man's full lifetime. So we find all the qualities of epic poetry in tragedy, but epic poetry need not contain all the qualities of tragedy. In short, that is, let us conclude that these are the basic points that Aristotle discussed in the first discussion. That is, imitation, poetry as a medium of imitation, then different kinds of poetry, then general differences that he noted in the different kinds of poetry, that is medium of imitation, object of imitation, mode of imitation. Then he continued his topic regarding the evolution of poetry and emergence. Once poetry emerged, it evolved into two directions. That is, then he discussed two genres, that is two genres in literature, that is tragedy and comedy. At last, he discussed epic poetry. So these are the main points that discuss, that is the preliminary discourse. I told you once again, I underline that, but it is only a preliminary discourse. So the second discussion is regarding tragedy, its definition, different elements, construction, rules, etc. That we will discuss in the next session. Hope all of you understand this session. See you again. Thank you.